Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy as always.
Hello!
And we have the Canadian Grand Prix, a race that I think someone on the other line quite enjoyed.
Fucking Monaco Grand Prix, the crown jewel of fucking motor racing. You have that. There was more action in half a lap than in all of Monaco. All of it.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, tell you what, 70 laps, I'll go, no, I want more. I want more of these laps. Take the laps away from Monaco and give them to Canada. Please.
So you enjoyed it then?
Yes. You could take that as yes.
I'm getting a slight hint that you may have enjoyed it.
Just a little suggestion of it, perhaps.
Just a wee bit. Yes.
A little souchon.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're coming into this happy. That's good. That's always.
How about yourself? Did you enjoy it?
I thought it was flipping brilliant. I loved
You
it.
sure there wasn't too much action going on for you? You know, because I mean, it might have interrupted your afternoon snooze.
I flipping loved it. I'm going to ignore that comment. I flipping loved it. I really enjoyed qualifying as well, and I thought the whole weekend was pretty top notch.
It was.
There were some really good moments as well.
I'd go as far to say, favourite race of the season thus far?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not the favourite result for myself, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Overall,
yeah. All in all, everything that happened, great little moments there, action all over the park, and yeah, I think a worthy result of the weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, you know, I was happy with. I didn't feel anyone was cheated particularly, you know.
Mm.
You know, it didn't feel like that was. I mean, there was results I was not happy with personally.
Mm-hmm.
There was things that, well, that was gonna fucking happen, wasn't it? But yeah, at the same time, I was thoroughly satisfied. You know, it was just damn good race. Damn good race. Oh.
I get the feeling you're feeling a little sexy.
Oh! I might have had a crisis or two.
Good. Right, okay, should we get into this then? Might as well, I think.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Did anything happen in between the races that we know of?
There's been some toing and there's been rumblings, which we'll come to later on. But McLaren and Honda are. We could be looking to a separation and possibly fighting over the kids and custody. I think Honda was supposed to bring an upgrade to Canada.
Yep. And
they basically turned around to McLaren and said, yeah, that's not going to be ready, which pissed McLaren off no end.
I imagine it would, yeah.
Furthermore, Honda won't commit to when they will bring the upgrade.
Right.
And the McLarens were, I think, 15 miles an hour down on the speed trap? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they're looking at next race to bring it, though, aren't they?
Well, they're looking to it, but again, they won't commit to it in the same way they were looking to bring it to Canada. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think McLaren are rapidly running out of patience on that front. And the buzz has been going around the paddock is that the executive board have basically said, we'll swallow the pain of losing the Honda sponsorship in exchange for a car with a chance of winning races, or at the very least finishing races. But we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah. But I think that was largely it from the pre-race shenanigans.
Well, there was a couple of press conferences and a question was posed about race seasons going up to 25 races per season. And I know for a fact Alonso turned around and said, no, thank you. And Hamilton pretty much said exactly the same thing, agreed with him, saying 25 is a bit too much.
Yeah, I think they've said, I mean, what are we on now, 2021?
We're on 20. Next year will be 21.
Yeah.
I think...
Although what they've said is they want to basically try and get rid of back-to-back races.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's only so many bloody weeks in a year.
Yeah, that's right. I'm happy with 20. 20 is a real good, and that is at the very top. 18 is good. 16, what it used to be for a number of years, is quite adequate as well.
Yeah. Again, I just don't see, again, unless you go back into a situation where you have multiple pit crews, effectively. So it used to be in the day that you had the prime pit crew and the testing pit crew, when they were doing testing every other week and everything. And it meant that the prime pit crew could occasionally miss a race because the testing crew would take care of it. Unless you get into that situation, I just don't see it sustainable. And I don't see them willing to put the budget into hiring a second lot of engineers, effectively, unless the financial distribution is such and the overall cost of the car come down to the point where that's more financially viable. It's something Liberty's just going to have to look at, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of Liberty, I think they've done a really good job this weekend as well. They brought out some footage of a pre-race race conference between the drivers and Charlie Whiting. And we haven't seen that stuff for years.
Not since Senna, really, was it?
No. Early 90s, late 80s. That sort of era. And even then...
I think Max Mosley was very against cameras and stuff being in those sort of meetings.
Which I can see why, because it is just a place just to talk business. Yeah, we do want to see it, but there has to be a line drawn as to where the cameras can go. Otherwise, they can't speak freely. And that is a good place for them to speak freely and not have it plastered all over the place. But with Liberty coming in, they want as much footage as they can get to put it around the place.
Yeah, and again, just embracing the whole concepts of social media and stuff like that, instant access. I mean, again, we don't need to be there every week, but a little dip in now and again is just nice, so you can get a sense of what's going on there. Yeah. Even if it's a case of you say, right, the driver's briefing is two halves. There's half which is going to be more public facing, and then cameras go away and you can talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah. You can have a 10-minute preview, as you used to have on Sky specialist channels years and years ago. You have a little 10-minute preview, and then it'll all go fuzzy, and then you'll be going, oh, nuts. So yeah, that'd be good to have that, but I'm quite happy not having it every week, as you say.
Oh yeah, I just don't have the time for most of the preamble as it is. If I get to do qualifying in a race, it's usually that's what, a good 4 hours of my weekend gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do get to watch quite a lot of it, and I think a lot of it is background viewing, i.e. the free practices. They're normally in the background while I'm doing something else. Yeah. And they're easy to watch in the background as well. It's a nice distraction every now and again, but you're doing something else and you don't have to pay attention to it a lot. And yeah, that is something you probably would have to pay attention to. But it's like all the team boss meetings. I don't really get to see any of them, and the driver press conferences before as well. I don't really get to see many of them. But it might add a little dash of spice to a race now and again, I think.
Yeah. Maybe races when fuck all else happens, like Monaco.
God, you won't put that down, will you? You won't put it down.
Talk about race fucks off. No, I'm not putting that fucking thing down.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that wraps up stuff that's happened in between the races. Shall I just...
wait, there was that one thing. What was it? Fernando Alonso did the Indy 500, which you can listen to on our special podcast from last week.
Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah. Yes, that is on the feed. So if you want to go listen to two idiots talking about a motor race that they don't really know anything about...
They know even less about than the normal ones.
Yeah, then go download that one. Let us know what you thought about it. We have Twitter, which is Grand Prix Pod. Yeah, it is Grand Prix Pod. And where else? We're on the Facebook as well. We've got a little group on there as well, so you can find us on there.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, right. I'm going to get into free practice because not a lot happened in free practice, so I can just blast through this straight away.
Yes.
Just consider this as all three practices rolled into one, okay?
Yes. It's like a mega practice, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. We had Alonso having hydraulic problems, which was... It was a shame to see, but it was nice because he was interacting with the crowd.
It was a nice way to ease him back into the McLaren Honda.
Yeah. This is what you could have won. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It's like a massive kick in the balls, isn't it? It really is. He's done so well in Indy, and everyone's talking about it. And there was even Michael Douglas was coming up to him and saying he did so well over in Indy and enjoying it. And jumping back into this McLaren, I'm sure he loves driving per se anyway, but...
You bloody well have to in that thing.
Yeah, but it must just be a massive kick in the balls. Really must be. Anyway, everyone was in a spin throughout all of free practices. There was lots of cars all over the place. We had Ferrari spinning. Ericsson hit the wall. He was the first person to hit the wall of champions, which gets back to our third column later on.
It does, yeah.
Grosjean was all over the place. He had brake-by-wire problems. And there was an injury to a Williams engineer.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, there was. It was during free practice 2. And I think a car was rolled back onto him and it twisted an ankle. It wasn't too bad, but it was reported anyway. So I'm sure the health and safety officers have got to strike up their pens and make notes and fill out forms and shit like that. As we all know, yeah. Max Verstappen brought out a red flag with 90 minutes to go in one of the sessions with a gearbox problem. And during that red flag, it was noted, first of all by Kimi Räikkönen, and then the cameras caught it, that there was photographers in the firing line after turn 2, coming up to turn 3. They thought they were protected by a barrier, but there was 2 dudes without tabards on, big lenses, and they were on the grass, on the driving line side of the grass as well.
Yeah.
And shooting down the noses of the cars. And if anyone had lost it there, they could have wiped them out within seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure the old farmer's hook came out and went yoink round their neck and pulled them out quick, smartest. And I'm sure if I was in charge, I would have kicked them straight off of that circuit, not to be returning ever again. You can't do
I
that.
suppose it depends. Like you said, was it willfully? Did they do it knowing they were doing something wrong, or was it them being misinformed or getting the wrong end of a stick before I'd make that decision? But yeah, I'd put more blame on the circuit than the photographers. You shouldn't allow them to get into those sort of situations in the first place.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, I'll take that one. But I'm sure photographers can be a little bit sneaky. We all know they're a bit.
Oh no!
Don't.
Speaking as a photographer, if I can get to a place to take a photo, I will do, unless there's either a sign clearly saying I can't be there or someone stops me.
Yeah.
If you're lacking both of those and there's no barrier, well, I'm going to take it as read that that's okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, for me, it's more on a lack of appropriate signage or marshalling on the track more so than the photographers, unless the photographers knew full well it was dangerous and they shouldn't be there, in which case then they're at fault.
Yeah, they've put their brown paper bag over the sign and said, no, it's been there all weekend. There
exactly.
is no sign. Because we all know you carry brown paper bags to cover up these signs. We all know it.
No, we use the health and safety vests.
You take them off, drape them over the signs.
Put them around the sign, and it's like, what? What do you mean? It's there's no sign. This is not the sign you're looking for.
What do you mean? I put my coat over the fire extinguisher so it wouldn't go on the floor. What are you on about? Yeah, but that was roughly in a little mess up of all three free practices, that's kind of what happened. No real dramas. Yeah. There was, like I said, some spins, but nothing untoward. I think it was just a really dusty circuit that doesn't really get used throughout the rest of the year. So you're going to have problems. Yeah. But it was all good. It's all good. Nice.
Can I just say as well, I love it's a nice old circuit. It's in the middle of a park. You know, it's next to the lake, isn't it? 'Cause it doesn't go around the lake. And yeah, it's a really nice.
It's in the middle of the lake. You've got two bridges going over from either side, crossing between.
So I've still got the feed on here, sort of thing. And Patrick Stewart's in the middle of a Mercedes bloody team photo.
Oh, I think brilliant.
They've adopted him. I think they've just adopted adopted Patrick Stewart.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to about him towards the very end as well.
Yes, we will get to Jean-Luc.
Okay, cool. Right, should we get into qualifying then?
Yes, let's do the qualifying thingy.
Okay, Q1. We had Kimi brushing a wall and Dornberg brushing a Dornberg? I've done it again.
You've done it again.
I've done it again. Oh, bollocks. Fucking Dornberg. Where does he come from? Van Dorn. Dornberg. Flipping hell. I'm going to get posts on the Facebook group now.
I think we found our new third category for next week.
Where would Dornberg finish?
Exactly.
Right, yes. Van Dorn brushed the wall as well. Verline stuffed it into the wall with around about a minute to go, thus putting himself out.
He went backwards, taking himself out and pretty much taking out everyone in Q1 because I think everyone had a chance of Q2, except maybe with Salvers. But he ruined everyone's final laps, and that was that.
Yeah, so who got caught out or missed out in Q1 then?
Well, Verline went flying backwards into the wall. The other ones to not make it through were Marcus Ericsson, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, Lance Stroll in the Williams for his home race, and Stoffel Dornberg.
Dornberg, flipping hell.
Yeah. Anyway, I believe actually Magnussen, Stroll, and Van Dorn were all improving, but then had to lift in Sector 1 on their final flying lap. So, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion at that point.
It's quite a tasty crash that he had, though, as well. You know, this guy can't catch a break at the moment. Well, actually, he can catch a break because he had one at the very beginning of the season. But he's had his problems at the Race of Champions. Then he's been flipped over by Button, bouncing on his head. It was reported that his head did actually touch the wall as well on that race.
His head did graze it. But again, it was the only thing even remotely exciting in all of the Monaco Grand Prix. So we thank him for his sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's gone backwards. Luckily, the rest of the car, the engine, the gearbox, the suspension was all heading in the direction in front of him before.
Yes.
So
did he have to replace his gearbox? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was a replacement gearbox, yeah.
So he's actually started from the pit lane, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Sainz had a heavy spin in Q2 into T1.
He did.
Very similar to what Verline fell down at. And Kyvatt had a puncture. He ended up touching a wall after turn 4, I think. It was after.
No, it was further along with
7 or 8, wasn't it?
I think it was 7 he did it, yeah. He touched a wall and then the rear it kind of pushed the wheel off of the rim and then the wheel just kind of disintegrated.
Yeah, and he carried on at ridiculous speeds, thus destroying that corner of the car.
Yeah.
So he got it back to the pits.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, he did get it back to the pits, but he was never going to be able to contest Q3 at that point.
No.
And in all honesty, he really should have just probably pulled over when it was safe to do so, because potentially compromised everyone else's laps while he was limping back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe the engineer should have turned around and said, "No, I think you should pull it off. You've only got 3 corners on your wagon at the moment, mate. It doesn't work like that."
Well, and again, if that tyre starts, delaminate or something like that, it starts to, like you said, it's chewing up the rear of the car, the floor gets destroyed. The suspension risks getting damaged. That can damage the gearbox.
Yeah.
Again, if unless it's the beginning of Q2 and there's a chance you can make it into Q3, just okay, fine. This is where I'm going to be, but I'm going to save my car, save my mechanics and night's work, and we'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Made a mistake. I'll have to deal with it later. Right. So who do we lose in Q2 then?
Well, in Q2 we lost Jolie and Palmer. So yeah, again, major shock that Palmer made it into Q2, but I put that more down to everyone else being screwed over by Wehrlein in Q1. Romain Grosjean, who has spent most of the week complaining about brakes, I believe.
Yep.
Carlos Sainz, who had the aforementioned spin. Fernando Alonso, who had some sort of, I think it was a KERS issue or something like that, or a ERS issue or one or the other. Something wasn't delivering enough power, so he was a little bit down. But he did actually say he felt like 12th place was pole position, because apparently the McLaren is about a second and a half off of the pace.
Wow.
Just in terms of top speed. And so Alonso got it within a second of Lewis's Q2 time. So he was pretty happy with that. Danny Kyvatt in the other Toro Rosso, as we already mentioned, with the broken wheel and everything, and that was Q2.
Okay, right. Comes the session now, Q3, where all the excitement happened. This was brilliant. I felt
this was a lesson in driving and excitement and everything like that. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because we had, I suppose, through the free practices, Ferrari and Mercedes battle, and it's all geared around that now, isn't it? At the moment, everyone's pinning their hopes.
Yeah, and to be fair, they are delivering.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because I feel if Ferrari weren't bringing that car towards Mercedes, then Mercedes once again would be just out front, cruising it. Not a problem at all. And they really have upped their game. They look awesome as well. They look flipping awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, again, I'm still not a fan of the fucking barge boards, but the way they're painted at the minute with the big number and the white with the Italian colours there, they look so much better than they did at the start of the season.
Yeah. But I feel Lewis had something to prove this weekend because he got so stuffed last weekend.
Yeah.
He got really stuffed. By the way, your mic is just about to start crackling. So, unplug it. Anyway,
there you go.
I felt he had something to prove, and so he was just on it. He really was. He ended up setting a time, or Vettel made a mistake in his first run, and so bailed out of that, but Hamilton hit back and dropped a 1 minute 11.791, which at that time was the fastest anyone had ever gone around that circuit, ever.
Yeah, it was a new track record.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, these I mean, what are we now? It's a 2. It's a 1 litre V
1.6.
So 1.6 hybrid.
Yeah.
So that's faster than those screaming 3 litre V12s.
Yeah, but you're talking decades in between the two, aren't you?
Yeah, still, but just conventional wisdom is, a 3 litre V12 should be giving you to get that much out of a 1.6.
Yeah.
Even with all the electrical stuff, it's you have to doff your cap to the technological achievement there.
I think they're amazing bits of kit. I really do. I just feel they're a bit too technically. They're too much overkill. Well,
the thing is, again, it's the cost to get these 1.6 to that point. Mm. It's to those who would say it's unnatural.
Well, Hamilton dropped that time for us. Vettel then went out again and dropped a 1 minute 11.795. He was 0.004 thousandths of a second below that time, and I think at that point we knew that there was a race on. And and also Vettel had made a mistake in that lap as well.
He went a bit wide, didn't he?
Yeah, he got a bit wide, and so possibly cost him that time.
Had a bit of a lock-up as well, didn't it? It's the big hairpin one, the one where Kubica had that crash.
Yeah, he had a lock-up there, but he also went wide on, turn 3,
10.
turn 4, 5, turn 6. He went wide on the exit of turn 6, coming up towards the bridge. And, yeah, there's a lot of time lost there for him, especially in that lap as well. But it was good. It's really good to see these two guys, two totally different teams, two totally different styles as well, and that far, that close. That's less than a blink of an eye. It's amazing.
It was like, there's no way he can even get close to. Oh well, no, he's gotten close to that. I mean, it was like there's no way he can go fast. Oh no, look, he's gone faster.
Yeah, he did go. Hamilton did another lap, which was 1:11.459.
11.459. Yeah.
And which just shut everyone up, really, didn't it? It was like,
again,
okay.
that was one hell of a mic drop.
Yeah, that was. But Vettel did drop another time as well. He went up to 789.
Yeah.
So he shaved hundredths off of his time as well.
Oh yeah. Again,
thousands.
Up until this weekend, that time would have been a track record. It's just Lewis has happened to beat it twice earlier.
But he just looked so much on it. He looked so dominant. And I think if Sebastian Vettel had put any time on that board, he would have gone out and beaten it. There was just no question about it. He would have said, "No, I'll have it. Thank you very much. I'm having this." And so Hamilton ended up getting pole position. I'll just run through the top 10 for everyone. In 10th place, we had Nico Hülkenberg outrunning his teammate in the Renault in 10th place. Shock.
Really?
Horror, yes.
Shock. Quelle surprise.
Esteban Ocon was 9th in the Force India. His teammate, Sergio Perez, was 8th in the Force India. 7th came along Felipe Massa. 6th was Daniel Ricciardo in the first Red Bull. 5th, Max Verstappen in the second Red Bull. In 4th place, we had Kimi Räikkönen in the Ferrari, Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes coming in 3rd, and Sebastian Vettel finished up the top 9 in 2nd place in his Ferrari. And as we've already said, Lewis Hamilton taking the pole position for that.
Yeah.
Now, this was one of the bits I did like about this weekend as well. We had Hamilton taking the 65th pole of his career, which equals himself along with Senna. Mm-hmm. As we all know, that is his childhood hero, along with many millions of other people across the world.
Absolutely.
And I do like these little interviews that they're taking up. They're taking them onto the track and interviewing him in front of the fans that don't normally get this as well. And I'm enjoying these interviews with the fans. It's nice and open and airy, and you're getting a good response between the fans as well. So this is.
I don't think you're necessarily going to get it when it's pissing down, but yeah, it was nice here.
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah,
Silverstone.
Yeah, it's bound to be Silverstone, isn't it? But yeah, this was good, and Hamilton was presented with I'd like to say, helmet from the Senna family for matching Senna's pole position record.
Yes.
And it turns out that that's a replica.
The one given to him on the Saturday's the replica. He will be given the original one at a ceremony later on.
Yes. This is true. Yes.
I think it's they wanted to do a bigger ceremony and they just didn't necessarily want to be taking an exceptionally expensive helmet with him. But the one he was given there was one of Senna's helmets. It was one that was used for promotional purposes. Mm-hmm. Whereas the one he will be given was an actual race helmet. So it's exactly the same. It's just this one wasn't raced. So I don't know if he's going to get 2 helmets out of this or if he was just given this one for the ceremony and he'll get the proper one later on. I don't know.
I'd say that he'd hand this one back and then get the real one.
This is like the deposit. And then, you take your coupon back and you swap it over and you get the proper one.
It is, yeah. But it's really nice. I don't think anyone was expecting this to turn up as well. So it was really nice to see this, to see the reactions of other people, to see Vettel sitting there going, I want one. I want one. Why can't I have one?
Because Schumacher never got one, did he?
No, he didn't. No, but it's a long-standing thing that Hamilton has turned around and said that Senna was his hero.
Yes.
And so that's...
And even Hamilton's own helmet is, effectively a tribute to Senna with the yellow. And, he's it less so now, but certainly the one he had from 2007 until 2013, the colours were almost identical as well. So,
Which I once again reminds me on how important the colours are to a driver and how they can be ingrained in other drivers coming up as well. Because if you got fans of Sebastian Vettel, let's say, from a couple of years ago where he was changing his helmet every single poxy race.
Oh, that pissed me the fuck off.
Now, I like the idea of changing it every single race because then you don't get a superstition on a certain helmet. But it does become your identity. Mm-hmm. And Senna's helmet and Mansell's helmet, Prost's helmet, all them other helmets, they are added ingredients to the driver that we get on the screen.
Well, it's all you can see of the driver is generally the helmet, and that's how you identify them. That is their face. Even with, like, say, Valentino Rossi in MotoGP, he changes his helmet fairly. He'll have it on for the season, but for special races he'll do something. Mm-hmm. But it's always got the big fat yellow 46 on there. There are certain tells on his helmet which are always there in all of his designs, so you can always tell. I think it's important that when you've got a helmet design, you should. I mean, variations on it are fine, but I think you should stick with it because again, it's how the fans can identify you.
Yeah.
With Jensen, he went through a period. So when he was born, it was the bright yellow helmet, but the same design. And then he went through a few periods with a pink design.
That's right.
And again, you could always spot him. It was a tribute to his father, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you could always pick him out with that. So it's. I think we've had this discussion before, but I think generally helmets should stay your colours with little variations here and there, but stick with it. And I'm glad Hamilton's gone back to the yellow because I always associate that with him.
Well, yeah, it was a fan design this year at the very beginning of the season. I think it was put out to many people, please design me a helmet and I'll keep that for this year. And I think he's going to do it for years, next year and the year after. And they decided on a real visceral yellow colour. And I like it. I think he should have the yellow. That's what it stands out from the car as well. It's really easy to spot. And so I feel, that you've got that clash of the silver and the was it topaz-y type aqua colour that the Mercedes has. And then you have the yellow of the helmet. It really stands out. As the kids say, it pops. But... maybe stick with that.
Isn't it though?
Oh, definitely. Jolly good show and all that.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Hamilton's on pole. I thoroughly enjoyed that session. That was a real proper meat and two veg type session. That was awesome.
It was good. It was more. Again, I said this last week. The last race with Monaco. I respect Monaco as a technical precision circuit where you have to be millimeter perfect to get everything right. Mm. But generally speaking, it's you go as fast as you can go, that's as fast as you can go. Whereas here, you go as fast as you can go, and you can still find some more time. You can still go faster. You can be a little bit. You can kiss that wall of champions, and it's slightly forgiving. And that's what's great with this one. And again, traffic didn't seem to play quite as much of an impact on everyone. I don't know if it was just. Because we saw it in Q2 with McLaren. They kind of staggered Alonso going out, so he avoided all the traffic and everything. But there wasn't any real instances of people being massively held up or anything like that, which was nice.
No, not really. You had the occasional people moaning on they couldn't get a flying lap because of other people. But during the session, you have the initial, everyone going out in the initial phase of Q3, and then you have a lull of maybe a minute or two in the middle while they all change their tyres and go on to get ready for their last run. And you think, well, maybe if you staggered it a little bit, then you wouldn't have to moan about the traffic.
One would think.
Yeah. But, there you go. There's cleverer people than me that are working this stuff out and think that that's the best way to do it. So what can I say?
Yeah. Also,
you touched on a point about the Wall of Champions.
Oh, yes.
They moved it back ever so slightly, didn't they?
It did, yes. Ruining my fun.
Well, yeah, they said it was because of the wider cars. No, please don't. Just leave it where it is.
If anything, the cars are just back to the size they should have been because they were narrow for like the last 10 years or whatever it was. 2009, wasn't it? Since 2009.
Well, 97 was the massive one where they reduced absolutely everything. So I'd say back to then.
Oh, so 20 years, fine. But still, I mean, there was a camera angle when I noticed this on the first lap of the actual race. And I think it might have actually been on the wall itself when the cars were just coming by. No, it wasn't there. It was maybe turn 6. But the cars were just coming by. Vroom, 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 and I go, that's what a Formula One car should look like. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes.
Good. Right. Should we get onto the race then?
Yes, let us do the racing of that thing.
Okay. So, the drama started before the race. It
did.
You said that we had Wehrlein starting from the pit lane. Was that correct? Was that?
Yes, Wehrlein started from the pit lane, I believe. And on the formation lap we had, I know Kyvatt was, he stalled and ended up having to be pushed. Did Magnussen also have a problem getting away?
No, I don't think Magnussen had a problem. Oh. It was just Kyvatt, and the whole field passed him. And so,
the whole field passed him, and again, they started moving the mechanics across, so they had to give him a push.
Yeah, and I thought the rule was if the whole field passes you, then you join the back of the snake.
It's not the whole field if a medical car passes you.
So the whole grid,
the whole field, and the medical car.
Right. Yeah. Okay, and the medical car had held back.
No, the medical car had passed. So he should have gone to the back. At least that was my understanding of the rules.
Right, okay. Because there was talk about a safety car line 1. And because he hadn't got his position by safety car line 1, he ended up getting a drive-through, which we can talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But
safety car line 1 is on the rear straight.
Yeah.
Before the final chicane into the Wall of Champions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know if there was some confusion about whether or not he was supposed to take his place or start at the back, or he just wasn't quick enough to catch up with the field, or what was going on there. But yeah, he balls it up basically.
Well, yeah, he didn't have a very good weekend, did he? He really did.
He did not. He had a frustrating weekend, all in all.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have this palaver going on, and this runs for a couple of laps anyway, because we need to find out the result of what was actually happening with him.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to the start of the race, and we had a stonking start from Max Verstappen. He was just on fire for this. It was such a good start. He was in 6th.
Oh, someone lit a fucking rocket up his ass.
Yeah, well, he started from 5th on the grid.
You know what happened, don't you? He had a dodgy Vindaloo just before the race start, and he's like, shit, I'm going to need the toilet to get this over with. And he was gone.
Well, yeah, maybe they should do that every week.
I think they should,
Just pinpoint. It really was. But he ended up cutting off Vettel and his nose.
It was lucky he didn't get a puncture.
Very lucky, I felt. Very lucky. And that it almost concertinated him into Bottas as well. Vettel into Bottas, which could have caused
it was almost a repeat of what was it when Kimi ended up going out with Bottas?
Oh God, yeah, I know where you're talking about. I can't picture it though.
It wasn't Monaco because nothing exciting ever happened. Might have been Spain. Yeah, it was Spain. Yeah, when they were going to the first corner and they ended up getting squeezed. It was almost that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from Vettel's wing ending up with a couple less elements on it, but still managing to more or less hold on, at least for the moment.
Yeah.
He got away scot-free and into a very nice second, which was pretty tasty there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but then all of a sudden, it got really weird further down, didn't it? Because I don't quite know what the fuck Sainz was playing at. He seemed to try and make a move on Grosjean.
Yep.
And then decided not to. And then he thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. And,
yeah. What was that about? He clearly made two moves on him, didn't he?
He went to do a move, and Grosjean, Grosjean was coming up on the inside, effectively, and Sainz moves across, and Grosjean hits a bit of the grass, but still keeps it straight and level. And Sainz seems to realise this, and he didn't realise Grosjean was there. But then immediately turns in again, clips Grosjean, sending him going effectively sideways into the corner, but sending Sainz backwards into Felipe Massa, and then into the tyre wall himself. And yes, all in all, making a bit of a mess of it, it must be said.
It's as if Sainz was trying to bulge out Grosjean.
It was a bit of like getting the old elbows out.
Yeah. And the second time, it felt as if, because Grosjean responded to the first movement, which put him on the grass, but he held it and took it back onto the track. And I felt Grosjean was well entitled to be exactly where he was.
Absolutely.
And then Sainz, because everyone's been bigging him up this weekend as well. And then he goes into something stupid like this.
And yeah, I mean, stupid is the only word to describe it. It was you threw your entire race away in the first, a third of the way through the first lap.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was loving it. I mean, I literally texted you saying I've just seen more excitement in the first three corners than in all of them, 78 of that fucking Monaco Grand Prix.
You know what? I was expecting that to turn up as well.
Well, I'm happy to oblige. But yeah, it was, and we saw on the old on the Facebook group a couple of members as well commenting as such, and it's just like, yeah, it was. So yeah, I mean, we had a safety car incident at that point. Felt really bad for Massa. He was completely innocent in that. He'd kind of been a bit mugged in that whole kind of first corner shenanigans and was a bit out of place.
Yeah, so the Force Indias have got round him, haven't they?
Yeah. The Pink Panthers are still now being referred to.
Yeah.
I'm
not going to fall into that trap, though, by the way. I ain't going there.
You're not?
You're more than welcome
between
to.
Now and the end, so between now and the end of the season, you're not going to refer to him as such?
I'll try my best not to.
We'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Grosjean did well to hold it together because he literally went into that corner sideways, but lost his wing. But otherwise made it back to the pits more or less okay. But I mean that was the end of his. That was the last time we really saw him in the race. He did finish. In fact, he got a point. But yeah, it was. Don't know what you're playing at, Carlos, and it's going to be investigated after the race. So we might have some grid penalties due to come next week.
I would be shocked if he doesn't get a grid penalty for that. I would be
me too.
Utterly shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just an avoidable accident. He created that not once but twice, and he got away with it the first time.
He forced the car off the road once, and then collided with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have thought. What do you reckon? 3-place penalty?
Yeah, straight off the bat.
It wouldn't surprise me if he got something like that.
Yeah. Massa quite lucky we had as well. I felt it was a hefty hit.
Well, again, as Martin Brundle said, that could have been a lot worse. I mean, we've seen worse there in the past. So, lucky everyone kind of got together, was able to walk away from it okay. But again, we had a safety car period for, what was it, 4 laps?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Again, it was a pretty straightforward clean-up. We had Grosjean pit. Who else pit in that first period as well? I can't remember.
I don't think too many people pitted during that.
I just remember while Grosjean was in the pits, someone else was in the pits at the same time. You're the one of notes here. You should be paying attention to this stuff.
My notes have been pretty sparse this race because I wrote Max start, crash, and that was it.
Yeah, that pretty much does it. Hang about, man. Quickly flicks through. No, it doesn't say. Anyway, someone else pitted. They were just, swapping over onto the other tyres. We had the 3 different tyre compounds here this week. We had the soft, the super soft, and the ultra soft. Because, of course, you do. I quite liked having 3 compounds because, you can mix it up a notch.
All 3 were used during the race as well.
Exactly. Some teams were finding something was working. Some teams were finding something else wasn't. Yeah. But anyway, so basically they got off again. The safety car went in, got going again, and as they were accelerating down the rear straight, that bit of wing from Vettel, which had been damaged, went, and flew away.
Yeah,
flew off down the road, and they were just like, "Well, that's awkward."
That was like one of the Gophers, wasn't it? It just shot stage left.
It was just like, pew! So yeah, Vettel, he kind of tried to stick with Verstappen and Bottas and just to see if he could survive with it. But and again, it's kind of nice that with Ferrari and Vettel, they have a dialogue. There's no, you will do this. It's a dialogue. Vettel's like, can I try a lap to just see if it's okay?
Yeah.
And they try the lap, and then Ferrari's like, no, if you stay out, it's going to cause you more damage. Come in, we reckon we can get you back to where you are with 8 laps to spare. So it's a marked contrast to last year. And actually, I think it was here last year where you literally had them arguing over strategy.
Yeah, because they had 2 stops and Mercedes had 1 last year.
Yeah, exactly. And you literally had them having a blazing... It was like mummy and daddy are fighting on the radio. So yeah, that was nice. There's a mutual respect there now.
Yeah.
But Vettel went in, front wing changed, out. It was 11 seconds, which for a nose change is pretty damn good.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. And he was gone. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is a huge boon to Hamilton as long as he could convert this into a finish. He's ticking along. But, we're teeing up because, Verstappen's in the mix and he's looking tasty as old Verstappen. We're like, oh, yeah, here we go. The Red Bulls have got it together today. And then, no.
Yeah, he did look fucking tasty, didn't he? He really did. By the way, there are going to be swears during this, so I do apologise. But that's exactly what you got into. It's got an explicit type.
I'm pretty sure we've already sworn in this.
Okay.
And if not, fuck yeah! Anyway, there you go. But yeah, Verstappen was looking really tasty. It was looking exciting, and then his car just went, no, and just a massive electrical failure apparently. Yeah,
it says electrical failure. I heard rumours of a battery failure as well, but it sounds like more like a power delivery system problem.
Well, Christian Horner said all the electrics on the car failed, including the radio, which was apparently a good thing because apparently he was effing and blinding under the helmet.
Oh God, I imagine he would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd just be beep, 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 beep. It sounded like Morse code.
Yeah. Morse code coming through the old thing. So yeah, and that was a bit of a shame at that point because it kind of let Hamilton off the hook there. Because really, Verstappen was the only person that looked like he was going to trouble Hamilton in the race.
Well, Ferraris had really botched it up, hadn't they? They'd got at that stage we'd had Vettel been tripped over by Max Verstappen, so he'd lost his wing. Kimi Räikkönen was looking like he had a handful of a Ferrari as well, because on the restart, coming down to turn 7, I think it was, under the bridge, accelerating out of 6, he got it on the dirty stuff. And that's where Ocon slipped past him. Was it Ocon or was it Perez? It was one of the Force Indians that slipped past him, and he looked like he had a proper handful on him. He nearly lost it as well. We've seen cars touch that grass.
Yeah, well, we did see at one point he kind of got really squirrely under the on the grass, didn't he? And narrowly missed a wall there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's up with Kimi. He just seemed a bit out of sorts all weekend.
He started really well. He really did. He looked quite tasty during the free practices, but as the weekend went on, and definitely in the race, he just didn't look comfy at all.
No, he was. He didn't look comfortable, and then obviously later on he had finger quote car issues. I don't for an instant buy into any of the conspiracy theories, but it's not going to stop me throwing fuel on that fire.
Okay, with Kimi Räikkönen's racing, do you think he had brake problems later on?
Oh yeah. Any other driver, I would be like tinfoil hat region.
Yeah. But
Kimi Räikkönen, especially after what happened in Monaco, again, they're going to call him up and say, yeah, you need to let Vettel pass. I honestly think Ferrari breathed a huge sigh of relief when he had a brake problem at that point, because they're like, oh, thank God, we don't have to have this argument.
Yeah, we don't have to go through this all over again. And he dropped way off as well, because he was towards the end of the race. Might as well do Kimi Räikkönen now, I suppose, but towards the end of the race, he was really catching up on the two Force Indias, and he was looking, oh man, this is going to get really good at some point.
We thought we're going to have the two Ferraris on a charge coming through. Ricciardo at that point was seemed like he was struggling a little bit, or at the very least, just treading water to keep his head above ground.
Yeah,
but I mean, after that bit where Vettel kind of just whizzed by him, which was almost off screen, it was just like, oh, and Vettel's person, what? Huh? Where? Which is, just kind of denied us. It denied us that little moment of intrigue.
Yeah.
But yeah, he spent the best part of 2 laps after that going through brake settings on the car, trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, that was funny. That was almost, please hold your line. Please hold the line.
It wasn't. Welcome, Ferrari technical support. How can I direct your call, please? I can't brake in the corners. Okay, have you tried setting your router to position 2? Okay, no. Okay, I'm going to speak to my supervisor. I will be back with you in just a moment. Please hold.
Your call is very important to us.
Yes.
Please press 4.
Thank you for calling Ferrari.
If you'd like more brake bias, press 5 if you'd like to talk to your engineer. And,
it almost got like that, didn't it? It was
because there was a massive discussion with him, though, wasn't it? God knows how he does it at that speed that he's driving and concentrating and all the other stuff that's going on around him. He's got a million buttons to press, million settings on them buttons to go through as well. And
what he should have done? He should have called Fernando Alonso, who apparently had enough time in his day to fucking know what everyone in this race was doing.
Yeah, he was on it, wasn't he? He
was on it.
He's
just showing off at this point. He's just doing wheelies, going, hey!
I'm sure if he could pull a wheelie in that, I reckon my lawnmower could pull a better wheelie than that car at the moment.
Well, at least your lawnmower would probably finish a race.
Probably would.
Hi-yo!
Shots fired. Mate,
at this point, shots have been fired, the ship has been bracketed, and we're about to launch torpedoes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So Kimi Räikkönen, he dropped back. He ended up 18 seconds behind the Force India pairing. So, he definitely had problems. We had Hulkenberg closing up as well. He only finished 2 seconds ahead of him. So, it was a shame. He kind of needs a break. I still feel that there is a race win there this season for him to have. But...
yeah, the thing is, the further into the season we get, and the more Vettel... the only way he's going to get a race win at this point is if Vettel can't get a race win.
Right. Pull your mic out. Plug it back in again. But, yeah, Vettel has to screw up. Hamilton has to screw up. Maybe Bottas as well. I think he's got the chops to hold people off. but I think he's going to win it in the first corner and then just carry on from there.
Like I said, I don't see if you're in a situation where you've got two Ferraris running at the front, and that Ferrari in front isn't Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari are probably going to engineer it to put Sebastian there. Yeah. They're not going to necessarily do it, obviously, and they're not going to do it not in the first half of a season. So before the summer break, I don't think they'll do it. Mm-hmm. But I think if we were at Monza, and if it's as tight as it still is in the championship, I think at that point you'll probably find Ferrari will be like, Sebastian is faster than you. To which I imagine Kimi will respond something along the line, if he's faster than me, fucking prove it.
I don't know. When it was Hamilton and Massa going for it, after Kimi was the world champion in 2007, and going into the season 2008, Massa was the Ferrari that was bringing it towards Hamilton, and it was them two fighting for the season. And Kimi Räikkönen did his utmost to help Massa. So
he did.
He knows where his bread is buttered.
Yeah, but I think by that point he was mathematically out of possibility.
Yeah.
And while there's a mathematical possibility, he won't.
Okay. I think he's getting close to that already. I really do. I don't want to say that.
Oh, you say that. I mean, you remember back to, when was it? 99? Schumacher broke his leg at Silverstone? Mm-hmm. I mean, all of a sudden, Eddie Irvine's in the running for the being world champion. You don't want to necessarily hobble your drivers too much in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that season, actually, because in that season, the race before the British Grand Prix was the French Grand Prix. And during that race, Ferrari switched around Eddie Irvine and Michael Schumacher. Now, if they hadn't swapped them around, Irvine would have ended up with an extra point. And he would have possibly won the championship. Yeah, he would have won the championship because Japan, Eddie Irvine finished third, Schumacher finished second, which means that they tied. If he had finished second, Häkkinen would have still won the title on countback. Yeah, he would have had the extra point if they hadn't have swapped him around. So there is precedent for swapping your drivers earlier on during the season as well.
Yeah, and there's precedent for it biting you in the arse. Yeah, later in the season.
Yeah.
Anyway, end of the day, we're all getting very ahead of ourselves. We will see. All I'm saying is, I think Kimi will play the team game when it's shown that he doesn't have the chance of winning. But while it's still, again, all you need is a couple of DNFs from Vettel. I mean, we saw last year with Rosberg and Hamilton. The first 6 races last year, Hamilton was nowhere. Yeah. And then by the time we got to the summer break, he was in ahead. So it's still far too early to be dismissing either of the drivers.
Okay, fair play. So who should we talk about now? Now that we've cleared up Kimi Räikkönen.
Well, we've kind of done Ferrari, I suppose. Let's finish with Ferrari. So let's do Vettel as well. He had a bit of not his fault, but a messy start. After that, he was on a bloody charge. He was a man on a mission. Mm-hmm. Got to doff our cap to the Ferrari strategists. They said you'd be fighting for a podium with 8 laps to go. It was with 6 laps to go. Yep. And again, I think with one more lap, he probably would have had Ricciardo. So a great recovery drive from him. All in all, just a great damage limitation for today.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I feel going into this race, he was up there for a win. But since what happened in the first lap or two, then he would drop right back.
Oh, he was running at the back of the field. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen someone come from the back of the grid to even win the race.
Yeah.
I think Vettel did the best he could do. I thought it was very sweet when he mentioned how all he wanted to do was to get a trophy. He goes, "It's not very fair. They show us the trophies at the beginning during the national anthems," and I was like, "I want one of those." I got to say, I'm liking Vettel a lot more this season than pretty much any time since his Toro Rosso days. There's a humility about him, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So keep it up, Vettel. Yeah. Most impressed.
It's working for me, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his head screwed on now. He's calmed down a little bit, and
yeah,
I think last year was a bit trying too much, and now he's in the flow of it, and I think a couple of wins really help that as well. And
yeah, I mean, I think them having a fundamentally good car takes a lot of the pressure off, because it's obviously going to be very frustrating when you have the ability to win races, but the car isn't there for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's working. I think I suppose was a certain amount of the whole, it's the German efficiency meeting the Italian passion.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it took a while to kind of find that right meshing, but whatever they've got doing now is working well for them. And hell, he walked out from here after that still ahead of a championship. So well done, that man.
What about his move on Ocon that we saw?
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, he was closing down on those Force Indias like nobody's business. And I mean, again, do you remember back in the Red Bull days, everyone said Sebastian Vettel just can't pass?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Anyone who says that now really needs their head examining. That guy. One thing, balls of fucking magnesium. Just scooting down the inside of it on the dirty stuff. I mean, he could very easily have gotten it sideways, collected both of those Force Indias and taken them out. But fully committed. And again, he's racing for the championship. He could play the numbers game.
Yeah.
But, he had commitment. He had faith that he could take that, faith in the machinery, faith in himself, faith in the track, faith in Ocon as well. I mean, that was a beautiful move from everyone involved there. It's just mutual respect. It was quality.
Yeah, I'm
going to say it anyway. It's exactly the sort of move you're not going to see at Monaco.
Okay. The further we get away from Monaco, the better, I feel. But
oh yes,
I feel he's dark down Ocon's inside. It was bold. It was almost rash. I thought he'd lost it. I honestly thought he'd lost it.
From that head-on view, yeah. From that head-on view, I thought, oh no, he's going to win up sideways. This is going to end.
Yeah, there was a lot of steering added into certain things as well, and I thought, please don't collect both of them. Please don't collect one. But Ocon had his sense to go wide on that corner as well. Granted, he lost the place to it, but I feel it was only maybe a lap or two in the making anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I legitimately wish there'd been like another 10 laps on this race.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there was so many great fights, even towards the end, that was still being played out. And again, he just kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
No, it was a bit like Countdown at the end sort of thing. I was like, do-do, boom. So yeah, it was quality. I mean, we even saw with Vettel, he made a little mistake as well, just coming around that final chicane. Ended up running wide, but Ocon was too far back to really capitalise upon it.
That's right, yes. And then he ended up catching up with Perez and taking him going into the final chicane as well.
Oh yeah.
So I think once he got ahead of them, and then he was gone. It's almost as if the Force Indias were holding each other up.
Well, that's a lovely little segue. Shall we talk about Force Indias?
Well, why not? But since we're there,
we are. I mean, let's just cut to them. We don't have to go through everything. I mean, the main thing to talk about here is towards the end, you got Danny Ricciardo sitting in third place. I don't think it's fair to say he inherited it, but I don't think he was the faster Red Bull today.
No.
But still,
no. I think they put him on a strategy which compromised him ever so slightly. The soft tyres weren't the greatest.
You say that though, but again, he still brought the car home in third, and that's the thing about Danny Ricciardo. Very quietly, he's bringing home the podium sort of thing, just kind of chipping away there. So yeah, I mean, he's the Red Bull is demonstrably the third best car out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can argue over who's the faster of the two drivers, but Daniel Ricciardo's the one who's fifth in the championship.
Mm.
You know, he is the one who is bringing back the results. You know, who's, forgive the phrase, bringing home the bacon. And again, you know, he's got a very mature head on his shoulders. He knows how to capitalize. Just keep his head down. I mean, again, I think every driver today said he drove a faultless race.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Perez, Ocon, Vettel, they all said Danny Ricciardo, faultless race. So that was the best that car was going to do. So that was great. But basically, he's in third. He's not the most comfortable in terms of his pace. You know, he's got a pair of pink pussycats coming up behind him. But fortunately for him, is they seem to be having a town meeting over who should have the rights to pass this wounded Red Bull in front of him. And during this town hall meeting, they got mugged by Vettel.
Which we saw coming from a mile off. There was one shot where you could see the Red Bull and the two Force Indias disappearing off into the distance towards the last chicane. And there you could see the two Ferraris, Kimi Räikkönen leading Sebastian Vettel into the hairpin. And you just knew it was a matter of time before they'd all join in battle. And unlucky for us, Kimi Räikkönen had to drop back due to brake issues, but then we got Sebastian Vettel fighting his way through them and onto the tail of Daniel Ricciardo. Now, if Ocon was on the radio asking for Perez to hand over the place so he could have a go at Ricciardo, saying that he was the quickest, which is fine. I think if you don't ask, you don't get.
Mm-hmm.
And Force India did ask Perez. Well, they didn't ask him to move over, but they said, "We've been asked by the other guy behind you if you'd like to move over." It's up to you.
They didn't tell it. They didn't tell him. It was more of a suggestion. It was more of a, you know, maybe the other guy might have a better chance of getting by him. Do you want to let him have a go?
Mm.
You know, it's a bit like saying, you know, I think this other guy might enjoy having your wage packet. Do you want to maybe give him the money? Would you like to do that? It's just like, how about no?
Which is fair enough, but I think if you're going to make that sort of decision, it needs to be a hard and fast yes or no, or this ain't going to happen.
Well, I mean, for one thing, I'm kind of torn on this. Ocon had 13 laps fresher tyres, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. If he has that much of an advantage over Perez, then why does he need permission to get past him?
Because Perez was being pulled along by Daniel Ricciardo because he had the DRS as well.
Well, then he's still going to have the DRS. I mean, my point is, if the advantage was such over Perez, he shouldn't have needed Perez to move out of the way to get past him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just generally not a fan of that, and I'd rather they just dealt with it on the track. If Perez was falling away from Ricciardo, fine, because you know there's a problem there or what have you, and you know Ricciardo's getting away. But as it was, Ocon couldn't get by Perez on his own grounds, and you know what? I mean, Sergio's kind of well within his rights to say, well, if he wants to get past me, off you go. You know, I'm not here really to make your life easier in that respect. I can see the whole playing the team game, but I just don't see that Ocon had the advantage that he seemed to think he had.
Right. Okay. From a driver's perspective,
From your many years of Formula One experience.
Yes. I'm just leeching off of my experience I have. By the way, Rosberg only has one more championship than me. So,
oh yes,
what do you read into that? Exactly, it's only one more than me.
Only one, yes,
exactly.
Lance Stroll only has 2 more points than you as well.
Exactly. Thank you. And I have exactly the same amount of points as Alonso this season.
That's very true, yes.
So, how'd you like them apples?
Oh, ground into cider, please.
Right. Anyway, from a driver's perspective, Perez saying in the nicest possible way, no, or okay, if you want to overtake me, go for it. I'll probably fight you for it, but if you think you're man enough, come on, have a go. Ocon should really have had a go, but he couldn't get close enough, which is a fundamental problem with Formula One these days anyway. But we know that. But from a team's perspective, if they both had a go at Ricciardo, they could have worn him down and pressurised him and saved the other car and then had 10 laps swapping him over, pressurising him, burnt his tyres out, maybe forced him into a mistake. It's very rare that Ricciardo does make a mistake. But they could have forced him into a mistake. Then they could have taken that position and then fought for third between themselves and then not have to worry about the Ferraris coming up behind them. I feel they lost fourth position because they were bickering in between each other and the management above them didn't put a foot down and say, right, we are doing this or we are doing that. They just let them... They didn't guide them enough, I don't feel.
Well, I did catch a little bit of the Force India chief bod chatting to for Sky F1 lot. And he said, because obviously the radio messages we get are a bit delayed. So Perez said they were coming up to traffic and he felt he could get Ricciardo in the traffic. But when they got to the traffic, the Ferrari had already caught them. And apparently it was going to cost them a couple of attempts to swap the cars around anyway. And that meant there'd be more pain because the Ferrari would get by them, which, happened anyway. Again, I'm not saying if this is the case, this is what happened or anything like that. I'm just saying that might be mitigating why they didn't do what everyone was going, why don't you do this? We obviously know more than you guys do. Because we watched this show. So, yeah, boo, sucks. Again, there's commercial considerations. Perez is hot property at the moment.
Yep.
Rumor has it, Ferrari are very interested in perhaps getting his services. So, again, it's arguable that Force India really aren't in a position to be enforcing something like that when he's bringing so much talent and money into the team as well. Because Ocon's not quite a paid driver, but he's certainly not bringing the kind of package that Perez is bringing.
No, he's bringing oodles. He's like Santa with his sack.
He is. He is a little. Well, again, he's got. He's not short of a few quid. At least his sponsors aren't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a commercial consideration there as well. At the end of the day, they had a double points finish. Arguably, the best they could have hoped for was third and fifth. What they got in the end was fifth and sixth.
Yeah.
So really, they're still, I think, fifth in the constructors after that.
Yep.
Fourth in the constructors, sorry. So yeah, it's arguable over how much damage that is. And I got to tell you, Ocon, I got a lot of respect for how he was in the pen afterwards. He's not having a sulk. He's not, he cost me a fucking whatever, I could have had this and, kicking up a shit. He's just like, oh, well, my time will come.
Yeah, he was. I think he'd had time to reflect on it. He was having a little finger waggle on their slowdown lap, but I think that's just to be expected. That's just frustration.
Yeah, a bit of frustration there sort of thing. But, hell, I still think Ocon's kind of probably grateful that he ended up in the Force India and not in the Sauber. Yeah,
definitely. Another guy I want to talk about, Lance Stroll.
Yes,
in the
got some points on the board, eh?
Well, home Grand Prix. Has he finished a race this season yet? He hasn't, has he?
I think he's finished races, just not into points.
Right.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
He had I thought he had a sometimes I was a bit worried that he was losing it because he was really yo-yoing in positions. 1 minute he'll be out the points, next minute he'll be back in the points. Bit like Alonso as well. He was in the points and then dropping out of the points and then back in the points. And it was a case of, is Lance Stroll actually going to score some points this time? But yeah, he did. He rocks around. He got 2 points, finished 9th, and sounded quite satisfied with what he'd done this weekend.
I'd say relieved would be the would be what I would suggest it was. But
yeah.
I mean, the real test to my mind is going to be the rest of the season, because unlike Stoffel Vandoorne, he doesn't have the excuse that his car is about as much use as a condom machine in the Vatican.
Yeah.
You know, he is in a car which, you know, in the sister Williams with Massa has finished in the points 4 times this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and 4 times. The other 2 times, you know, he was out of it. But yeah, he finished in the points. He's finished 3 other races, incidentally. So this was his first point one. Now he's gotten that, you know, he's kind of popped that particular cherry. Pressure's over. He's kind of realised it's not all that. He can do it. Now he needs to kind of build upon that, and and be able to take that forward. If the question is this a fluke or not? Because, you know, this was, well, I want to say unusual. This was kind of a path of a course Canadian Grand Prix, but again, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 retirements all in all,
mm-hmm.
and 1 car 2 laps down. 4, 5. Yeah, so yeah, there was a lot going on further up the field. There were a lot of cars which should have been in the points. Magnussen, Massa, Kyvatt.
Yep. Verstappen.
Who were? I said Verstappen, didn't I?
Did you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But my point is, it was less, in my opinion, and I don't want to take anything away from Lance Stroll. Well done for getting points. And more importantly, for finishing 2 places ahead of Jolie and Palmer. But still, well done for that, man. But still, it seems less like he fought into those points and more like there was trouble further up the road. I mean, again, you know, Alonso was hounding him after he passed him, and we know that I think Stroll in Williams was the fastest through the speed traps.
Yes, he was, yeah.
Yeah. And the McLaren's the slowest through the speed traps, and Alonso's still harrying him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that. I mean, that's just to tell you, you know, brute force only gets you so far. So don't want to take anything away from him. Well done. It's great to get points. It's great to do it at your home Grand Prix, but he has to build upon this now.
Yeah.
This can't be. He can't just. I haven't seen him being cocky, which is why I'm kind of less down on him now with Palmer. But if he starts getting cocky after this and doesn't deliver, then he can fuck right off.
Yeah, I think you can say that about any driver, can't you? You start getting cocky and you can't really prove that you can actually do it, then yeah, get out of town.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good to see that he's scored points now. I feel that there might be a run of a couple of races where he gets points. I think he'll score points in Baku. I honestly do. It just screams that that's the sort of circuit that you start in a good position, you might end in a good position.
Oh, you mean it's like Monaco?
It's not as good as Monaco, mate. Really?
Oh, that's a bit of indictment right there. Yeah. So at least this time they can tell him how to fucking engine mapping settings are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, he had a really good race. Anyone else can we talk about Alonso as well?
Oh fuck yeah! Let's talk about McLaren in general, shall we?
Yep. Okay.
The fuck. I mean, the fuckity fuck. What the fuck? I mean, okay, so the big, we mentioned this earlier on, but the big rumor is that McLaren have had a meeting with Mercedes, a closed meeting with Mercedes, So apparently it was. I think it was Zach Brown and Eric Boulier were seen in a closed meeting with Niki Lauda, Toto Wolff, and Dieter Reitig. Is it the what's the doctor name? Yeah, whatever, the guy in charge, basically.
Yeah.
That basically, I think it's all but done that after this race, after Alonso, who was in the points, like potentially scoring points for Honda, for McLaren, which is a big deal because if they finish 10th behind Sauber, they lose millions in funding. It's like at that point, Honda's costing you money, for all they bring or whatever they bring, sort of thing. Hell, at this point, you may as well stick pedals in the bottom of Alonso's car and just let him pedal it.
Mm-hmm.
At least he'll have a chance of finishing a sodding race here. I mean, he was doing so well with that hunk of shit he's driving around in. Look, I know people have been in the past about McLaren's chassis saying, oh, well, we don't really know if it's as good as they say it is. But I got to tell you, the strength of, what Alonso's delivering and everything here, when the power deficit of a Honda here is as bad as it is, you've got to say McLaren's got either the best or the second best chassis on the grid.
It does look good.
It looks
I know
very,
there's nothing to compare it to, but the way that he's hounding it and the way that we know that he can hound a car around a track anyway, it's going to be up there or thereabouts. It should be scoring podiums.
He should be up there now with Vettel and Hamilton. We should have a three-way fight with three different manufacturers with a view of Red Bull getting into the mix as well. But Honda consistently are dropping this ball, and it is unforgivable. I know I had this rant last week at the Alonso Indy 500, and I had it at Monaco as well. But for fuck's sakes, it's inexcusable when you have, I think they're the second or first largest engine manufacturer in the world, and you're failing this badly. I mean, at this point, stick a bloody Ford Cosworth in the back of the thing. You're going to have more bloody luck than they are. And
rebadge it. Just rebadge it.
Yeah, just rebadge it at this point. It's just, they are the world's largest manufacturer of internal combustion engines.
Yeah,
and they have. It's not only that they've ballsed it up; there's no transparency and there is no impression of them being contrite and seriously trying to fix it. It's just like they're lost. They just have no real direction of where they're going with this.
They are kind of lost because they did have a massive rewrite of their rules on how they actually built this engine and totally changed the design for this season and still fucked it up.
Well, again, at least at the end of last season, they were able to consistently finish races, maybe even score points.
Yeah.
It was not a lot, but it was like they were finally last year where they should have been 2015. And instead of taking a step forward, they took a massive dump backwards. And it's just so utterly indefensible when you have a team of McLaren's prestige. It's the team of Prost, the team of Senna. It's the team which gave Lewis Hamilton his first championship. It's the team which took the fight to Ferrari in the early 2000s when they were dominating so utterly. It's the team which owned Formula One from 1987 to 1990.
Yeah.
And they are the Minardis right now, and that is inexcusable.
Yeah,
completely and utterly inexcusable. And the fact that his engine popped again here, he's going down, the engine's popped. Alonso's not even surprised. He's not even angry.
No, your mic's
at least not admitted. Hang about.
While you do that, can I just say, it was nice to see a Williams and McLaren fighting for position.
Yes, but it should be fighting up at he did a bit, but it should be fighting up at the front. But yeah, as I was saying, Alonso's not even surprised at this point. I mean, he throws his bloody headrest out because he's fuck this sort of thing. But he just says, engine's gone. That's it.
Okay, My question on that: did his engine go?
It sounded like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were no.
I don't know which. I think it was one of the it's either electrics or it's one of the recovery systems or something like that.
A power unit.
The hybrid system, I think it went.
Right.
But yeah, the engine goes and he just rolls to a stop, and he just goes, engine's gone, just throws his headrest. I mean, again, 2 weeks ago he was contesting the win of the Indy 500, and a Honda engine let him down.
Yeah, but without that failure today, we wouldn't have seen the wonderful signs of him climbing into the crowd, throwing his gloves into the crowd, and shaking hands with pretty much everyone in Canada.
Oh, absolutely we wouldn't, but I think that's just part of Alonso's charm offensive.
If anything Honda has brought to this sport, it's more of Alonso walking around.
Incidentally, last year, Alonso scored points in 9 races.
Right.
And Button, 1, 2, 3. Alonso and Button in 7.
Yeah.
And Van Dorn in 1. So again, last time out, McLaren finished 6 in a constructors.
Yeah.
This is look that basically, I think at this point, come the summer break, there's going to be an announcement that they're going back to Mercedes.
Yeah.
And Sauber have got to be going, the fuck have we done to ourselves here?
Do you think by mid-season we'll see Honda removed from the side of that McLaren then?
It depends entirely. Well, I don't think there's any way McLaren can throw any other engine in the car, because the chassis are hologramated, so they're stuck with the engine they've got.
I think they'll keep the Hondas in there, but do you reckon that this is, okay, right, we're embarrassed to have this Honda, we won't have Honda written on the side of this car?
No, because every time you break down, you can point to the badge and say, that's why we broke down.
Yeah,
it's their fault.
Yeah.
That's why we're fucked. Plus, I'll take your money for as long as you're going to give it to us. I'll spend every penny you give us between now and the end of the season developing next year's car for the Mercedes engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, apparently Alonso said in the press briefing, he knows where he's going to go next year and he thinks he'll be happy there, which means he's either leaving McLaren or McLaren are leaving Honda, because I don't see any way he can be with McLaren Honda and be happy. No. I mean, the only downside from this I can see is if this happens, is he going to be able to do the Indy 500 next year? To be fair, if he's in a winning car, he's not going to want to miss Monaco.
No, he's going to want to compete, isn't he? He's done it until he's proved himself in the Indy 500. He knows he can jump over there and do that at some point in the future. That was a toe in the water and a reminder to everyone out there and sponsors as well that he's still bloody good. He's just
and again, it beats trundling around the back of the fucking Monaco Grand Prix behind Pascal Wehrlein.
Exactly, yes. And so it was a nice weekend away. That's why I called the last episode Alonso on Tour, because that's what he was doing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can't see. I don't want Alonso to go. I really don't.
I mean, either. I mean, again, don't get me. I used to hate the guy. Literally. 2007, fuck off, Alonso. You're a fucking waste of space. You're ruining my sport, my team, and everything. But now, I just straight up say he's one of my favourite person on the grid.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I want to see him winning. I want to see him up there at the front.
Yeah, I think we've only got a couple more seasons left in him. But, okay, yeah. Can I just ask a question? Do you think that Honda or McLaren will score a point this season?
Well, stranger things have happened, sort of thing. We could have a big pile-up in Turn 1 that takes out the Mercedes, the Ferrari, the Red Bull, the Force India, the Toro Rosso, the Williams, the Renault, the Haas, the Sauber. And they might have a chance, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's.
Imagine if that happened and then they still broke down.
They still broke down, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. At this point, they can't even do a race distance.
No. Was it lap 69 that he broke down as well?
It was, yeah.
That's the only reason why I was asking, was it definite power unit? Because it just seemed, we've seen him do that before, where he just pulled over and said, "Nope, not going to get anything out of this." I know he was in the points at the time, but
he was in the points, and when he does that, he makes a point of, he doesn't want to have to bloody schlep it back, walking around. He'll pull into the garage.
Yeah.
Every time he does that, he is sending a deliberate message to Honda. That's what he's doing. But yeah, this time it was genuine. I mean, again, you saw the way he threw that headrest away.
Oh, he was cheesed off, yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. I think the only reason he didn't throw the steering wheel with it is you get fined if you don't put the steering wheel back on.
Yeah. And it's like £50,000 worth of steering wheel that you're throwing around.
Oh, I think he gives zero fucks about how much it costs.
Yeah. Okay, right. Enough of Alonso, I think. Daniel Kyvatt, can we just talk about him really briefly?
Yeah,
because
sure.
He had a torrid time at the very beginning, as we've already said, that he stalled. His car wouldn't start, or it didn't pull away from the grid. I'm not too sure why, whether he stalled or not. I don't know.
Yeah, something wasn't working, but they managed to. I mean, they didn't need to get the old electric starter in the thing to get it going. They just gave it a push and it was away. So
yeah, so there was confusion as to whether he should join his rightful place on the grid. Sounds like he did, but he didn't make that place up until the very last corner. So he was in violation of that rule, where he should really have started at the back. I personally think he should have started at the back. All the cars gone past you, you should start at the back. But he started from his grid position, got away, and then he was given a drive-through penalty for not filling his grid box before the
safety car line.
And so he got a drive-through penalty. So he took his drive-through penalty. Then he was promptly awarded a 10-second penalty, which could have been added on to the end of the race or the next pit stop. And that was for the same infringement, because they felt that the drive-through penalty wasn't harsh enough to the problem that he had caused, or problem that he had been dealt with. And so we got lots of effing and jeffing from him. Rightly so as well. I think being penalised for the same thing twice is a bit rough. I don't think that they should have awarded the 10-second penalty. I don't think that was fair. They've already awarded him the drive-through. He's completed that. He's complied. You can't then turn around and say, well, it wasn't harsh enough. You didn't lose out enough. Let's give you another one just in case. That's not fair.
No.
They've ballsed up, so they have to hold their hands up and say, no, we didn't give him the right penalty. Our fault. And I think they were completely wrong in giving him that penalty. But he came in. Turns
out it was pretty academic.
Yeah, it didn't really matter, did it? Because he came into the pits. Yeah. He had his 10-second penalty given to him. And then there was a problem with the tyres, because they'd taken all the wheels off. They put all the softs back onto his car. And then for some reason, they had a problem with the right rear of the car. And they brought all soft tyres out, the yellow stripes out. And then it all got very confusing. Then we had lots of conversations over the radio about, no, Danny, stop the car. He was melting it from inside.
Well, I think the problem was, I don't think the pit stop was just to serve a penalty or for tyres, because they'd have just gone to the end and had the 10 seconds added to their time.
No, I think it was part of their plan anyway.
No, I don't think going to the pits was the plan. I think he had some problem, because it says the reason he retired was wheel vibration.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some vibration or something like that. And I think the reason they had to suddenly decided to change the wheels is they found there was a problem or something with the set he had on. So then they changed to the other set. And then, for whatever reason, they just decided, sod it. We're having one of those days. We're last place. let's just go home.
Yeah, let's go home.
Let's just pack it up. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. I don't think they were entirely sure what was going on there, but again, this was more of a Danny Kyvatt from early last year when things was all going to pot for him. He's been quite reserved and together for the most part. So it not a happy return to that sort of form, but hopefully this is just a one-off, just a bad weekend for him. I think that's probably everyone we really wanted to talk about. I mean, we haven't really spoken about Lewis, but what's there to say about he got pole, he went off and he won the race.
He was very comfortable, wasn't he?
He was imperious.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way: when Bottas pitted for his new tyres, Hamilton on pretty second-hand ultras was still setting fastest laps. He had this pretty much sewn up from the get-go.
Yeah.
So that was good on him. Nico Hülkenberg did a good job, got the Renault up into 8th place. Again, he's another guy who's just been quietly kind of chipping away, getting points and stuff like that. Yeah, he's currently sitting 11th in the championship. Where was Jolyon again? Oh yeah, 11th.
Yeah, he's in he's not in bold in this thing that we're looking at. All the people that scored points are in bold, and he's not.
It's true. In fact, looking at the people who haven't scored points, and I'm talking just about regular runners, not people wanting it. It's the two McLarens, Marcus Ericsson and Jolyon Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, awkward.
Yeah, very. It is, yes. Should we get into the race result then?
Yeah, we may as well.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I do the top 10?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. Right. In 10th position, we had the moaning Roman Grosjean in his spinning Haas from the whole weekend. Lance Stroll picked up 2 points in 9th. Hülkenberg was very quiet in 8th. Kimi Räikkönen was lagging in 7th. Ocon was moaning in 6th. Sergio Perez was reluctant to move out the way in 5th. Sebastian Vettel was flying through everyone in 4th. Daniel Ricciardo was drinking champagne out of his shoe on the podium again in 3rd.
With Sir Patrick Stewart.
Which was amazing. Valtteri Bottas was 2nd, very quiet. And Lewis Hamilton he probably had time to stop for a drive-through McDonald's, loosen up the seatbelts because he's eating a little bit too much, and still win that race. He had it in the bag. So congratulations to him. The podium.
What did you want to ask about Sir Patrick? Yes.
Oh no, the podium. I just want him to do it every week. I thought he was amazing. I think he
was pretty awesome, and especially when Danny does his shoey sort of thing, and he goes, "Well, that's a very fine vintage. Do you want one? Of course." It's just like, good on you, mate.
That's what I want to see. He said he's the first time on the podium, which I love that.
He goes, I'll drink anything out of anyone's shoe, I think he said.
He was a kid up there. It was amazing. And I would be very happy for him to do that every single race. I want him there every single race. Granted, I saw a very small interview with him and Martin on the grid, and he was saying that he was doing a film that's starting next week in Montreal, and that's the reason why it all coincided. And man, I would love him to do that every single week.
Him and Ian McKellen.
Yes, please.
And actually, they should commentate on the race as well.
Do you know what? Yeah, on the red button, I'd fucking listen to that, man. I would definitely listen to that. Because it would just be something's happened. Anyway, as I was saying,
yes. So yes, when I turned to Sir Peter, and said,
it would be flipping amazing every single week.
I definitely think listenerships would be up quite a bit.
Yeah. And imagine the sound bites you'd be able to get from them too.
Oh God, it would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the results from the race. Shall I run through the Drivers' Championship?
Yes, let's do that.
And I'll let you do the Constructors' Championship.
Oh, okay.
So the Drivers' standings as they are at the moment, we have in 5th place Daniel Ricciardo with 67 points. In fourth position is Kimi Räikkönen with 73 points. In third position, Valtteri Bottas at 93 points. Second position, Lewis Hamilton catching up with 129 points, and still out in the lead at the moment. In first position is Sebastian Vettel with 141 points.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's I mean, again, you just need one bad day for Sebastian, and Lewis could be up on top again. So
yeah.
Anyway, constructors. I'm going to do all 10 here. So
okay.
In first place is Mercedes with 222. Second place is Ferrari with 214. Then there's a bit of a gap to Red Bull with 112. Force India with 71. Toro Rosso with 29. Williams with 22. Renault with 18. Haas with 15. Sauber with 4. And with no point, McLaren.
So they have to hit 5 points by the end of the season. Minimum.
And they need 5 by the end of the season and have to pray that Sauber don't get any more.
Wow. Flipping hell. Right, well, that was the Canadian Grand Prix. One thing we did forget to mention that happened in between the races.
What was that?
A certain Robert Kubica jumped into a Renault.
He did, Mr. Kubica. Well, it was a Lotus that was painted like a Renault, but yes, he did.
Yeah. But yeah, he did 115 laps of the Valencia Grand Prix circuit.
Was it Valencia? I thought it was Barcelona.
No, it was Valencia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And came out of it learning a lot from it, realising he's lost a little bit, but he knows where he's lost it. So,
well, he's actually said he's interested in trying to make a proper return.
Well, it was noted during this weekend that he could take part in the test after the Hungarian Grand Prix, because the teams stay on at Hungary and perform a test. And because he's completed a certain amount of mileage, he can do that test. Now, is that all part of an end game, do you think? Or am I just getting my hopes up a little bit too high? And why would they be testing Robert Kubica?
Why would Renault be testing Robert Kubica? Why would Renault... So you've got Hülkenberg, who scores good points. Why would you be testing Kubica? Can't possibly. Yeah.
Now, I did make a private joke to you, which I don't know whether I should reveal now. Although now I've said this, I should have revealed it already.
Well, you've started, so you have to finish.
Yes, well,
them's the rules.
We all know that. Well, we think that Robert Kubica would give his right arm to be in a car right about now, which indeed looks like he nearly did at one point, and we're all glad that he fully recovered. Whereas Jolyon Palmer doesn't look like he would give any limb whatsoever to be in that car. And so already Kubica is ahead of the game for me to take that seat.
Well, I think I think so. So here's what I think Renault's end game is. They're waiting to see what McLaren announce. Because if McLaren say they're sticking with Honda, they're after Alonso. If they say they're going to Mercedes, they know we're not going to get Alonso. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it's like, hey, Robert, you want maybe drive car?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because Alonso's at home in Renault as well, isn't he?
Well, there's a nice symmetry there. It's kind of like, going back to where he won his championships. And hell, he can't fucking do any worse than where he is at the minute.
No, exactly, yeah. At least to be scoring points.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good to hear about Robert Kubica jumping into a car again as well. So
yes,
that's always good. He was a guy that should have won more races, could have won more races, and undoubtedly would have won more races as well.
Yes.
But them's the rule. Well, not that them's the rules, but, shit happens, doesn't it?
Yep.
It certainly does.
Yep. Them's the brakes. If you tried using them, you probably wouldn't have been in this position in the first place.
Anyway,
too soon?
No, it's not too soon. It's definitely not too soon. I'm not feeling awkward. Definitely not. Anyway, predictions for the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm going to get into these now. Now, do you remember who you predicted for pole position?
Not a clue.
Okay, well, the predictions are as follows. For pole position, you predicted Bottas. I predicted Hamilton. So I get a nice big point for that.
Grr.
For the race, you predicted Hamilton to win. I predicted Vettel to win. So you get a nice big point for that.
Woo!
So well done.
Hey.
And our third row was who would hit the wall of champions throughout the whole weekend first. You predicted Stroll. I predicted Ocon. In fact, it was Ericsson. So we don't get any points for that whatsoever.
Ah, well.
Which is a shame. But
It is.
let me just add that onto our running total of the season so far. So you get a point, I get a point. So at the moment, you are running on 6 points for this season so far.
Wow, I'm already doing better than Alonso.
Yeah.
Doing better than Stroll, Kyvatt, Verline, and Magnussen.
Well done. And I have got 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 points for the season so far.
Everything's to play for then.
Exactly. So it's nice and close between us. So
It is.
yeah, good stuff. So the next race that we have is Baku. I have serious problems with this bloody circuit even being anywhere near a Formula One circus whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you on that. I mean, frankly, I thought the last race here was farcical.
Yeah, it was a sham. There was hardly any overtaking. I like the last sector where it's quite fast leading up to the start-finish straight, but that is all I like about it. I'm not impressed with it whatsoever. I don't feel you get very good camera shots or camera angles from this, and it's just a stagnant circuit. Now, that being said, it'll probably be a cracking race, and I will never turn down a cracking race. So, who won the race last year? It wasn't Hamilton. It was
your
Rosberg,
stats.
wasn't it?
So last year, Rosberg had pole, and the podium was Rosberg from Vettel from Sergio Perez.
Nice.
Yes, what happened to Hamilton last year? He ended up 5th. Yeah, that's because he couldn't remember where the CD changer was on the McLaren.
That's right.
And spent most of the race trying to find that. Yeah.
And Kimi got unfairly penalised for crossing over a line.
Yeah, the pit lane entry. Yeah.
Yeah, unfairly, by the way, unfairly.
Unfairly.
But that was a year ago. So, what do we reckon is going to happen this year? Andy, who do you reckon will be on pole position?
Ooh, let's see. Shall I just give you the top 10 from last year?
The top 10? Okay, go on then.
The top 10 on qualifying last year. Rosberg on pole from Perez. Ricciardo from Vettel. Raikkonen from Massa. Kvyat from Bottas. Verstappen from Hamilton. Hamilton had a problem in qualifying. I just can't remember what it was.
He went...
He clipped the wall, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He clipped the wall and broke his suspension.
Yeah.
And it was on that corner where it goes in between two houses, or two castles.
Yeah.
And he said he got blinded at the top of the hill.
Yeah, I mean, he was just having a bloody old grump at this time last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who do I think is going to get pole? I'm going to go with Hamilton, I think. I think he's going to carry this through to the next race.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've said they understand why they were fucked at Monaco, apart from Monaco being a shit circuit. So, yeah, I think I'll go with Hamilton.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Vettel, just to be different. Because I can't see Bottas beating Hamilton at the moment. I feel Hamilton's just got that step above him.
I think, all being equal, you're right. I think if Hamilton's having an off day, then Bottas, like he did with Monaco, then it's possible. But I just, based just on the performance today, again, just how dominant Lewis was, I'm kind of got to give him the nod for the next one.
Okay. And what about the race result? Who do you reckon will win?
Who do I reckon will win? It's a boring one, but I'm going to go with Hamilton again.
Okay. Okay, well, since you've gone with Hamilton, I'd like to go with Vettel because that's who I'd like to see, right? So I'm going to put Vettel, I'm going to put that in brackets because I'd like to see him, but my official prediction will be Ricciardo. I just got a feeling.
Yeah?
Yeah, just got a feeling.
Is it more than a feeling?
I can't remember the lyrics.
So, you're hooked on believing.
That's there we go. And third column. What do we want for the third column?
Ooh, what do we want for the third column?
What lap will I fall asleep in?
No,
5.
because you'll just lie. Ooh. I think I picked the last. I picked the last third column with the Wall of Champions one. So
okay.
Yeah, you can do this one.
Oh, okay. Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Something that we haven't done. Don't want to do fastest pit stops because they don't really seem to be making much noise this year, do they?
Yeah, and it's not really in the spirit of our third column, which is usually about people fucking up.
Yeah, okay.
In humorous ways.
Okay, right. It's something to do with Jolyon Palmer. What position do you think Jolyon Palmer will finish in?
Ooh.
Yeah. Where do we think Palmer will finish?
Well, for some reference, last year he finished 15th out of 18 runners.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the only people behind him was a Haas, a Sauber, and a Manor.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with... One second, just looking up something. I'm just seeing what his DNF rate's been like this year. He's finished pretty consistently. I'll give him that.
You're not looking up Mystic Meg, are you?
Yeah, I was actually.
I think he won't finish.
No, I think he's going to finish 15th. There again.
You're going 15th, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say 10th.
Really?
Yep.
You want to go nearest to the pin, or are we going to go, you've got to be landing on that?
Okay, nearest to the pin.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm taking DNFs as counting as closer to 15 now.
No, that is fine. That is absolutely fine. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's one thing to look forward to with this sodding race.
Yeah. I think we've already covered it, but are you looking forward to this at all?
In the immortal words of Dr. Evil, how about no?
No. Yeah.
Especially after Canada. It's just like, you got such a good fucking race out of Canada. It's always a good race at Canada.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping for a good race here. I don't think we'll get it. I think it'll be processional. I think it'll be dull. I don't think there'll be much change of position. And frankly, I want to go there, do it, and get off. So
Really? Anyone I know?
Go there, get the race done, and fly off to the next circuit. So,
well, that's the Austrian Grand Prix, so at least we're back on like a good old fashioned proper circuit.
Yeah. The Austrians. Yeah, that's got problems for me as well, but I went into them last year, so I won't go into them again.
It does have problems, but I will happily take the A1 ring over the fucking Baku, fucking Azerbaijan bollocks.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully the listeners will be joining us for that as well. Andy, have you got anything to plug before we disappear?
Yeah, you can find me on the I was going to say you can find me now on the Grand Prix podcast because you're listening to it. But you can also find me on Space Dock Jury, which is at spacedockjury.com and iTunes and Facebook and all those places you can download and listen to audio casts and stuff.
Nice one. Yeah. And you can catch me regularly on the Black Dog Podcast, which is at blackdogpodcast.com. It's a film review show. So if you like your films, if you like your old stuff, if you like your new stuff, please pop along there, give it a listen. There's over 300 episodes now, so the boy's done good, I do believe. And you can also catch me on Shonky Lab. I will be bringing it back. I just need to sort out computers and stuff like that because it's a live show, so I need to get all that sorted out before anything goes live again. So please pop along there. And it's free stuff at the moment, isn't it? Free entertainment. You can't really moan about it. If you don't like it, switch off.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah. And with that being said, please join us for the Baku Grand Prix, where we'll probably be asleep half the time, and we'll catch you again next time. So,
well, look, on the plus side to everyone, if it's really bad, you might get another rant out of me.
Awesome. Fourth column. How many times will Andy mention Monaco compared to Baku? There we go.
Well, go on. Place your bet.
7.
7 times. Okay. I'll say.
Remember, you have control of this as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think if I can be bothered to remember what I'll say. No, I'm not. It seems churlish to actually mention on my part.
Cool. Right. Well, for that, anyway, catch us again next time, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.